Hi, it's Red Recapped here. Today I'm going to describe a movie called Nobody, which came out in 2021. There will be some spoilers in the following, so let's begin the film without further ado. The movie opens up in an interrogation room where a man can be seen bruised and bloodied. He pulls out a cat from his jacket and starts feeding her with a tuna before lighting a cigarette. The detectives are dazzled and ask the man, "Who the heck is he?" He responds, "I'm nobody." Cutting back to a few days ago, we get to know the man. He is Hutch Mansell, appearing to have a normal life. He has 2 children named Blake and Sammy with his real estate agent wife, Becca. He works a dead-end office job in a metal fabrication company run by Eddie, his father-in-law. His marriage is strained, and his working life appears to be monotonous. Hutch is considered a loser by his own son and never has been taken seriously, just as his wife feels. She is tired of Hutch's failures and always looks down on him. However, Hutch has only his cute little daughter by his side, who has never stopped loving her dad no matter what. Hutch is checking on his kids one night when he abruptly notices his son gesture towards downstairs, indicating that there has been a break-in. Hutch walks downstairs quietly to find the burglars, a couple named Luis and Lupita, attempting to rob the house. Lupita spots Hutch and points a gun at him. Hutch calmly tells them to take all the money from the kitchen cash bowl. But Hutch's watch and wedding ring are also demanded, but he begs to let him have the ring. Just before they escape, Blake nimbly tackles Luis and manages to lock him in a chokehold. Lupita approaches them with the gun and is about to shoot Blake. Despite this, Hutch, who has the chance to hit Lupita with a golf stick, strangely relents, telling Blake to let Luis go. Blake is distracted, causing him to get punched in the face by Luis before the burglars flee. The cops arrive at their house, with Hutch feeling guilty for what happened, and both his bruised son and the responding officer scold Hutch for not taking action against the criminal while he could have. After the robbery, Hutch's family gets even more sarcastic. Blake has to have an interview with a veteran for his history class project. He openly says that he prefers his uncle Charlie, who has been a real soldier, to his father, who was just an auditor during the war. Hutch is also chastised by Becca for missing the garbage truck once again, as if it's the worst mistake ever. Back at his workplace, Hutch is visited by Charlie, Becca's brother. He offers Hutch a weapon to protect his family, but Hutch refuses. However, Charlie finally persuades him to take it and tucks it into a pocket in a fridge. Hutch wishes that one day he can purchase Eddie's factory and run it on his own. He offers a sum, but Eddie, who built up the place from nothing, is looking for a higher price. Hutch then contacts his brother Harry through a radio since Harry is in hiding. He explains that during the robbery, he stopped attacking because the robbers were desperate, frightened, and using an unloaded weapon, so there could have been no real harm. Harry praises him for not struggling with them, especially when he realizes they just stole an insignificant amount of money. But he also notices Hutch is haunted by revenge thoughts and strongly asserts that he has to just let it go and stick to his family. He takes a bus to his father, a former FBI agent named David Hansel, who has been kept in a nursing home. Hutch briefs his father about the robbery only to find he believes in revenge against the robbers. He then reminds Hutch of their glorious days, when nobody could stand against them and their family was respected. Once returning home, Hutch finds Sammy heartbroken because her kitten bracelet is missing. Considering that it was stolen by robbers, Hutch storms off without uttering a word and heads straight to his father. He goes for his FBI badge when he finds David sleeping, but soon gets caught by him. They both know what the plan is, and David totally agrees, even if he doesn't say so directly. A tattoo from Lupita is the only clue he has now. Hutch visits several tattoo parlors around the town the whole day. At one of the parlors, he gets caught by an old-timer veteran who figures the badge has been expired for years. Furious, the owner, veteran, and 2 thugs surround him to beat him up. But the veteran notices a card tattoo on Hutch's wrist and abruptly changes positions. He says, "Thanks for your services," and buzzes off. The owner turns 180 degrees and asks, "How can I help you, sir?" Hutch ends up getting the burglar's address and heads for them. As Luis and Lupita are enjoying their dinner, Hutch breaks in. He knocks Luis down and gets his watch back at gunpoint. But they still claim they don't have Sammy's kitten bracelet. Just then, Hutch overhears a baby making sobbing noises and realizes they are the parents of a sick baby. Hutch feels pity for the baby and storms off. And in a fit of rage, he vents his anger by punching the wall repeatedly. On a bus back home, he notices a group of thugs speeding drunk, ending up hitting the concrete. But they step out of the car with no care in the world. They're looking for trouble and trying to get on the bus. With his anger not satisfied yet, Hutch whispers, "They say God doesn't close a door without opening another. Please God. Please open that door." The bus door is opened, and the group spills in. They're bullying some riders and making them get off the bus. They then surround an innocent girl, attempting to harass her. Hutch asks the bus driver to stay outside and unloads his weapon to fight them and save the girl. They laugh it off when Hutch claims to be their punisher. A bloody fight ensues, and here we get to know what a badass Hutch is. Despite being outnumbered by them, he still gets the upper hand during the fight. The gang leader's teeth are spilled out, and he is severely stabbed in his legs. A Russian member named Teddy has his nose broken by Hutch. However, they end up throwing Hutch out of the bus. While it seems like everything has been over, in utter disbelief, Hutch strolls back to begin the second round. The thugs are taken aback and freaked out. They free the girl, who expresses her appreciation to Hutch before rushing outside. Out of desperation, one of them attacks, but Hutch still gets the upper hand and beats them even harder. When Hutch plans to hang one of them using a seat belt, he finds Teddy attempting to shoot him. Hutch gives up hanging and hits Ted unconscious with a bus holder. For his final artwork, he cuts Ted's throat to put a straw into it, as if it's pomegranate juice. By doing so, Hutch also does a tracheotomy to keep him breathing. Before leaving, Hutch expresses his regret for the mess to the panicked driver. He returns home to find Becca still awake. Becca starts gently dressing his wounds. Hutch is upset that there has been no love in their marriage for a while. Hutch also reminds her how happy they used to be together. Later that night, Becca removes the pillows that separate their bed and starts touching Hutch in love. We get to know a gruesome, merciless mobster named Yulian Kuznetsov as he enters a nightclub. Fortunately, Yulian is in a good mood by now. He dances and sings a Russian song along with a beautiful singer and sends his love to the crowd around him. He then meets up with associates over the security of their shared fortune, called the Ibsak. But the group doubts his capabilities because of his oddities. To prove them wrong, Yulian finds an Ibsak shareholder who just glared at him in disgust. He slashes the man in the face with the shattered glass before cutting his throat viciously. Strangely enough, the group is pleased. Because now their profits have gone up by 3%, thanks to the shareholder's death. Yulian then gets a phone call from the hospital and is informed that Teddy, who's actually his brother, is there. He is told by the doctor that Teddy suffers permanent brain damage. He violently interrogates Teddy's buddies over what happened to him and who is responsible for it. Yulian is finally given Hutch's Metro card that fell during the bus fight. The next day, Hutch looks more confident and calm. He happily starts his new day with a smile. He tells his son that he is so proud of him for tackling the intruders. Hutch then gets a phone call from Harry, who scolds him that he had put himself in great danger because one of the men who was beaten by him was the brother of Yulian Kuznetsov, who is a wealthy Russian crime lord that nobody wants to mess with. Harry asks him to see a man known as Barber, who then tells Hutch all he needs to know about Yulian. Barber tells Hutch that the Ibsak is an operation dealing with billions of dollars on the move, and now its current caretaker is Yulian. Yulian's art collection is the most important thing in his life, and it seems he is tired of Ibsak's great responsibilities. But the positive part is that Yulian still doesn't know much about Hutch. Elsewhere, Yulian has his henchwoman dig up whatever dirt she can on Hutch. She blackmails her informant in the Pentagon with dirty pictures of him until he goes down into the archives and finds highly classified information on Hutch. By receiving Hutch's picture and information, the henchwoman, who is rebellious herself, learns that Hutch was once a ruthless killer. She freaks out and quits her job after throwing Hutch's background in Yulian's face. Yulian sends his right hand over to Hutch and tells them that he wants him alive. On the other hand, Hutch feels happy spending time with his family. As they're enjoying their dinner, Hutch spots several cars parking outside. He knows danger is coming, so he has Becca and the kids hide in a panic room in the basement. He also asks them not to call the cops and shares a kiss with Becca. He then kills the lights as the gunmen enter the house. Hutch gets the upper hand again. He burns one with boiling water and stabs the other to death. He finishes off several with a baseball bat and kills a few with their own weapons. Despite all the skills, he ends up being electrocuted by a taser by one of the attackers. 3 henchmen who still survived put Hutch in the trunk of the car and headed back to Yulian. Not long after, Hutch has to dislocate his wrists to remove the handcuff. He then grabs a fire extinguisher and blinds his abductors by using it. The car crashes, and he shoots all 3 of them. He keeps the man who tased him alive to tell him who he actually is as long as the man dies. As Hutch runs back home to his family, he calls his father to warn him to watch himself. He then frees his family from the panic room, covering Sammy's eyes so she won't see the slew of dead bodies in the house. Hutch then sends Becca and the kids away to somewhere safe, and she asks him to make sure he returns to them. Once they leave, Hutch places all the dead and injured men on his couch and starts speaking. He says that he is a former auditor, an assassin employed by intelligence agencies to kill people who consider themselves untouchable. He did his work professionally until he let a man he was supposed to kill go free. A year later, Hutch learned that the man he spared had built a new life and family for himself and was very happy. This is when Hutch decided to retire against the wishes of his superiors. Ever since he retired, he has done everything to avoid the shadows of his old life. He then sees the kitty cat bracelet lying next to a pool of blood under the radio. Before he leaves, he tells the dead man that the bones will burn to ashes at 1,500 degrees without leaving a trace. Hutch acknowledges that deep down he knew his life was just a facade that lasted longer than he expected. He has to burn down all the traces of the killing he just did, so he sets his house on fire and picks up a photograph of his family as he walks out of the house. Hutch then steals a neighbor's car, whom he despises, and drives away. Then we see a car with 2 assassins arrive at the nursing home. They go directly to David's room and approach him as he pretends to be asleep. Just as they approach, David kills both assassins. In the next scene, we see Hutch pouring a bag full of gold bars onto Eddie's desk and telling him that he is buying the company. After some bickering, enraged, Charlie attacks Hutch but is fended off by him. Hutch finally manages to take over the company. Yulian, on the other hand, watches the whole footage on the news and gets to know Hutch was the man who killed his men during the car crash. Hutch, on the other hand, closes the factory temporarily. We see that his desk is covered with weapons and ammunition. Harry contacts him on the radio and tells him that he has devised a plan. He drives to where the mob is counting the Absac money. He makes a quiet entrance as he opens fire at the moment he enters the building. He removes a Van Gogh painting before he sets fire to Yulian's priceless artwork and piles of money. After delivering a fatal blow, Hutch drives to meet Yulian at the club. Yulian is surrounded by his henchmen, but Hutch has a plan. It turns out that he has an explosive device that was concealed under his napkin. Hutch has the detonator in his hand. So, if they even try to get close to him, boom. Hutch then sits across a table as he talks to Yulian. He tells him that he has burned everything owned by Yulian to ashes. Hutch then gives Yulian a choice, telling him that he can either choose to come after him or, better yet, he can choose to take what little remains and flee. After telling this to Yulian, Hutch leaves the club. Yulian is now angry and calls every man on his payroll. They go after Hutch, who is at the factory. David and Harry are also there to help Hutch deal with the gangsters. They use a variety of advanced weapons and their experience to lay traps for the gangsters. They kill all the gunmen except Yulian, who shoots Harry. Hutch charges him with a claymore mine attached to a pane of bulletproof glass and detonates it, killing Yulian. Hutch shows his gratification to Harry and David, who leave as the police cars approach. Hutch leaves Becca a loving message. Then a kitten appears, and he leaves carrying a painting with a kitten wrapped in his jacket. He is arrested by the police. We are back at the scene where the movie started. Hutch gets quickly released with no charges filed against him. 3 months later, while buying a new house with Becca, Hutch receives a call suggesting that his services are still required. In a mid-credits scene, Harry and David are shown driving to an undisclosed location in an RV filled with guns. That's all from the video. Thanks for watching.